Hello, hello. Oh, my lights. Why are they off? On. Let's go. There we go. Cool. There we are. Oh my goodness. Dude, the Twitch schedule broadcasting lied to me, bro. It told me 1. It's 12. What the hell, man? If I had known that, I would have started way earlier. I promise I would have. Do I gotta fix my camera? I do. Oh boy. Okay. I can't remember what the actual settings are. We have 2 minutes till it actually starts, apparently. So let me... Dude, I had no... Also, yeah, so I'm wearing headphones for once. I look like a cat with its ears pulled back because of the bend in my hair. But yeah, that's just how it is. That's how we do here. That's how we do here. Okay. Fix my camera, because OBS never saves my camera settings for some reason. I don't know why. They should really fix that, but whatever. I have it like saved on my phone right here. Because I can't remember what it is. Because the numbers are so weird. It's like, oh, 133. Like, yeah, I'm gonna remember that of all things. Okay. Okay. Hopefully the audio is fine. If it's too loud, too quiet, let me turn it down a little more just to be sure. It was this one. There we go. Cool. Full screen. Bloomburrow. Love Bloomburrow, baby. Love Bloomburrow. I don't know what's gonna happen. This is the preview panel. It starts in like 30 seconds, but you all can't see that because my camera's right there. Let me move that over here. Cool. Great. Wonderful. Awesome. Bloomburrow. Red wall. Whatever that is. Everyone keeps saying red wall. I don't know what that is. I've never heard that before in my entire life. Never. Never, never, never. Never. In my entire life. I don't know what red wall is. We're gonna find out, though. Ooh! Is it too quiet? It's way too quiet. It's way too quiet. Look at him! It's like Disney, bro! Dude, it's literally classic Disney animation. That's Mabel, I'm pretty sure. Where's my drink? I need my drink. I'll be right back, chat. I'm back, don't worry. Who's this? Who's that? Why's it got a rapier? It's on fire! I'm sorry, why are we scared of fireflies? Oh. Bro, it's bad. Bro, you're gonna fight a dragon by yourself? Okay, there's a frog, I guess, and that guy. Oh no, it's like a fire wolf. Oh. And then they all died. Holy shit. Are they actually dead? Okay, no, they're not. Maybe. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, bro? That's a flaming wolf. You're not beating that. And now it's really loud. What the hell? Audio is so weird, bro. I can't even see what happened because I was trying to fix the audio, but everything looked good. Disney World! Disney World!
A world filled to the brim with creatures, big and small. all working together as they share in the prosperity and safety of their communities.
You're too loud.
The largest settlement in Valley is Three Tree City, a massive dwelling at the conjunction of the forest
I think that's
and
good.
the Long River, built across 3 ancient intertwined trees. It's home to a variety of animal folk.
We got
and
Nyctos for
designed to
creatures,
accommodate their
bro?
different sizes and shapes, whether these creatures are most comfortable in water,
You have
or land,
got to be kidding.
or in the sky. Three Tree City has a place for them to call home.
Yo, the art in
The
this, that's
upper
amazing.
branches of Three Tree City are filled with a dazzling array of bird folk, capable of great deeds of chivalry and selflessness. The bird folk are known for their inability
Bird
to
folk.
ignore injustice.
Isn't that just regular birds?
Perhaps nothing demonstrates the character of the bird folk quite like the Plume Creed, a risky venture to the tip of the world, a mighty peak that no one but a brave bird folk can reach. You can recognize a bird folk who has completed the Plume Creed by the single feather they wear atop their head. Included in
Oh.
this set are several booster fun treatments to collect, one being the borderless raised foil anime cards. Dazzling raised gold foiling and exciting anime art make these cards the apex of collectability.
Words mean nothing
Find
now.
English versions globally in collector boosters, and Japanese versions exclusively in Japanese collector boosters.
Okay.
The charming new showcase woodland frame treatment
Oh.
yields kindred faction cards in frames of foliage, evoking a sense of pastoral beauty and natural elegance.
I like that.
They
That's cool.
encapsulate the cozy energy of Bloomburrow and allow players to showcase their fondness for these kindred animals and express their own unique personalities.
This narrator is cool.
Closest natural allies of the birdfolk are the mousefolk,
What?
plucky, loyal seekers of adventure and glory. Mousefolk
Valiant.
have large interconnected families. There are few problems mousefolk can't overcome together.
It's just heroic plus.
All the animal folk of Valley cherish their young, and springtime is particularly rich with new life. The new mechanic, Offspring, enables you to create 1/1 creature tokens that represent the young version of an animal species. The
That's
offspring
kinda
of
cool,
your
I like
animal
that.
folk will have the same abilities as the parent creature. The only difference is their 1/1 power and toughness. They are still children after all. These young creatures of Valley show promise and are eager to take on the adventures that
Oh my
lie
god,
ahead.
dude, that's so cute. That's so cute.
Rabbit folk are also community focused, as well as being talented chefs and farmers who provide food to most of the creatures in Valley. They're conflict averse as a rule, preferring to let trouble blow over them rather than stick their noses in it. That doesn't mean that they can't defend themselves, though. Phineas is one such guardian of the animal
Phineas?
folk in Valley.
Like from the show?
This adeptly trained archer stands ready to protect his home from afar, as well as his companions as they venture through Valley. Gathering together
The
is a
token or
surefire
rabbit, wow.
path to strength. Bloomburrow encourages your creatures to band together so they can gain extra benefits. These kindred animal folk must share with each other in order
What?
to survive.
This is text, bro.
The new mechanic, Gift,
I'm gonna put this
allows
right
you
here.
to gift your opponent a benefit to reap more value out of a spell or artifact. The gift varies depending on the card. It might be food tokens, an extra card, a 1/1 fish, or something else.
Oh, okay, so it's like a
With
new
their
version of
natural durability, the strength of
tribute.
their kindred bonds, and the willingness to share, the animal folk of Valley can survive almost anything.
Look at that fish token,
There
bro.
are those in Valley that prefer moonlight to sunlight. Batfolk are deeply protective of their community,
Right, of course.
occasionally superstitious, and focused on maintaining the balance between all things: light and darkness, life and death, and of course, day and night.
So they're Orzhov.
Nocturnal
Right,
creatures,
obviously.
They use the moon and stars to determine their choices and fuel their magic. As a
Literally
result
Ronnie
of
Elden
being
Ring?
awake when others are asleep, they serve as silent guardians of the vulnerable creatures of Valley. Raccoon folk are free-spirited wanderers, collectors, and entertainers.
Raccoon
Moira, Trash
folk.
Tactician, wields new mechanic expend, rewarding you for spending 4 or more mana in a single turn. This fearsome raccoon also likes to work closely with fellow raccoon folk,
Okay.
adding red or green mana for each raccoon you control.
So whenever you
Rather
spend
than
4
settling
mana, gain
down
3
in
life.
Three Tree
Okay.
City or elsewhere, raccoons spend their lives on the move, acquiring a hoard of objects along the way. Some may call it trash, but to a raccoon, every broken teapot and piece of wagon wheel is a treasure.
Get it? Because they're trash pandas. I
There
get
are
it.
even more creatures who thrive in odd and adverse circumstances in Three Tree City.
Dude, are there
The
4
lizard
different
folk are
alts
a
of...
culture of expressive artists. They value creation and destruction in equal measure.
So
Lizards
they're
also have a
Viashinos.
spiritual attachment to fire.
Kind of.
As cold-blooded creatures, they rely on the heat from flame when sunbathing is not an option.
That card's
Lizard
kind of good, dude.
communities can often be found bundled together around a fire or furnace, sharing this sacred connection.
A good narrator they got for this. I'm not gonna lie. Now it's springtime.
The squirrel folk are morbid stewards of land and the life-death cycle.
Green
Though
black.
they focus mostly on burying the remains of the dead, a select few squirrel folk are able to bring bones back from the grave for their own purposes. The
What?
squirrel folk have also become
Squirrels
experts
are
at maintaining
necromancers?
themselves through caches of food
What?
collected through the art of foraging.
Why are
The new
squirrels
mechanic
necromancers?
is a squirrel-themed mechanic that allows you to exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food token to gain an effect.
Okay, I like that. That's cool.
Rat folk are isolationist keepers of secrets and ancient relics.
Right.
They have survived harsh circumstances by forming psychic connections with native insects. With their insect companion by their side, rat folk can be quite formidable in a pinch. Down by the waterways of Three Tree City, entirely different groups make their home. The
Brogs.
otter folk are playful and fun-loving, with
Okay,
a
or
strong
otters.
daredevil streak. They seek thrills by storm chasing, the practice of following menacing creatures called calamity beasts as closely as possible.
Motherfucker,
until the
calamity
game becomes
beasts?
Too great, even for these adventurous critters.
Bro, calamity beast goes hard. That's a hard title.
They possess a unique culture of augury, which allows them a limited understanding of the future. While their foresight makes them an instrumental part of life in Valley, it also results in many frogs being fatalistic. It's hard to smile when you can always see the waiting doom.
Oh.
Sometimes the
Yeah.
frog folk, acting on their own foresight, can bring doom upon themselves. The wizard Glab, for instance, has recently stolen an egg from the great night owl,
Why?
inviting retaliatory wrath from the powerfully winged creature of darkness. This legendary elemental bird carries night on its wings that blackens the sky. Maha is just one of the many dangers across Valley. These animal folk must coexist with calamity beasts.
Yo, this is so
Mighty
cool,
creatures
actually.
Which blur the line between flesh and blood animals and elemental forces of nature.
Dude, that's
And
so
for
cool!
naturalists, the borderless field notes treatment captures the raw power of calamity beasts, rendered in the wild by a loving hand. But the people of Three Tree City are not helpless. The great hero Mabel forms a party of adventurers to protect Valley against the calamity beasts, aided by the now transformed Ral Zarek, who is
There he
more than
is.
happy to lend a
There
hand.
he is!
Since there are no humans to be found on Bloomburrow, Ral has magically transformed into an otter upon arriving
An
on this
otter?
plane. How
Yo,
interesting.
okay, that one looks
But
cool.
even without help from allies outside of Valley, the animal folk are capable of using magic to defend themselves. A cycle of modal spells allows you to select from a list of 3 abilities. In this set, they're each valued at 1, 2, or 3 paws.
Interesting.
Choose up to 5 paws worth to gain those effects. You may even choose
Yo.
the same mode more than once.
6 mana, draw 5?
The card type class is returning with a focus on bakers, blacksmiths, artists, and other villagers.
Yo!
Cost at each level to gain its ability, working your way down to all 3. Life goes on in Valley. The turning of the seasons.
Bro,
the tilling
please
of the
put the
earth,
mana
and
symbol
the
back in the
occasional
middle,
upheaval
please.
are
It's
all
so
aspects
ugly in
of
the corner
everyday
like
for
that.
These brave critters. It is not the mighty
For all the
warriors
seasons,
that
okay.
make Three Tree City what it is, but the little folk who carry on day after day.
The little folk.
There are also heroes and commanders in Valley who are truly adept at inspiring the animals around them. Led by Bello, Bard of the Brambles, the animated army deck lets you ramp into impressive calamity beasts, cast expensive permanents to synergize with the main set's expend mechanic. With Commander Zinnia, Valley's voice, the Family Matters deck specializes in doubling up on enters the battlefield effects by granting your creatures offspring. Fill the board with 1/1 token versions of your creatures. Hazel of the Root Bloom leads the Squirreled Away deck. Outvalue your foes with a combination of squirrel and food tokens. This deck
That's
includes some
fucking
traditional kindred
Crypto's right in the command zone.
squirrel
What is
farmers.
this? What is
With
this?
the peace offering deck, Ms. Bumbleflower hands out cards using the gift mechanic. This deck evokes a group hug style of play that's friendly, until it isn't. In addition to the main set's Imagine Courageous Critters cards, Tamio is one of 4 that can be found in the commander decks.
Oh wait,
Because
what?
Bloomburrow has its own unique aesthetic, planeswalkers and creatures who happen to end up here, like Ral, are transformed into denizens of Valley. With the
Yo.
Imagine Courageous Critters treatment, your favorite planeswalkers and creatures have been utterly transformed by the adorable lens of Bloomburrow, which brings out their inner animal folk. See powerful creatures and favorite
What even is
planeswalkers
Tamio?
as
What is
squirrels,
she?
Birds,
A
bats,
rabbit?
otters, and more. Like this sly planeswalker.
There he is.
If he were to appear here in the land of animal folk. And characters aren't the only ones to get a reimagining. Powerful weapons also take on new forms in the Bloomburrow setting. The Sword of Fire and Ice looks a little different.
Sword of Fire and
from
Ice
Wizard
reprint,
and
bro?
Potter.
I'll take it.
If you'd like to visit Three Tree City and all the creatures of Valley, you'll have your chance soon.
Yo, this
You can
set
play
actually looks
early
so
at your
sick. I'm not
local
gonna
game
lie.
store,
It
with
actually looks so
pre-release
cool.
Starting the weekend of July the 26th, and on MTG Arena on July the 30th.
Wish I could.
Otherwise, we'll see you on August the 2nd, when Bloomburrow will be available everywhere. Keep an eye out for the Buy a Box promo and bundle promo cards. Learn more about the adventures of Mabel and her party with story episodes now online at magic.wizards.com. Until then, we hope you'll come visit us soon in our peaceful valley under the trees.
This set actually looks so sick. I'm not gonna lie, dude. The art is amazing, and the whole like Calamity Beast thing is actually so sick. That's actually so cool. What is that it? That's not it, is it? No, we're still live. Okay.
Hello
There we
and
go.
welcome to the weekly MTG after show for Bloomburrow. Hopefully you've just seen a ton of cool stuff from the upcoming set.
Oh yeah.
We're going to spend the next hour diving into a lot of what you've just seen, including mechanics, the archetypes, Calamity Beasts. We're going to see some promos. We're of course going to look at preview cards.
Bro, Calamity
But we're gonna
Beasts
dive
are
deep
sick
into
as
all of
fuck.
that and talk
They're
with
so
some of the
cool.
minds
That's so
behind
awesome.
this adorable set. We have with us today in the studio Ian Duke and Oliver too, who are, well, I'll just let you introduce yourselves.
Let me move myself back down here again.
Hey everyone, I'm Ian Duke. I was the set design lead for Bloomburrow, which means I was responsible from taking the vision handoff all the way through iterating on the card set itself, sculpting the limited format, and seeing the set through playtesting process.
All right, Oliver.
I'm Oliver. I'm a game designer, part of the play design team. I worked a lot on Bloomburrow during its set design process and worked a lot on the limited and standard applications of the set.
Great. So, yeah, these are two of the best people to walk us through this set. So, we're going to start going through a bunch of mechanics and preview cards and all of that sort of stuff. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in chat. I'm not going to guarantee we get to them because we've got a lot to get through today. It always helps me if you tag @Magic, and I'll keep an eye out for them.
@Magic, there you go. For
But
everyone
we're
watching.
going to launch right into it with one of the coolest new mechanics, Ian. I say coolest, but it's adorable, which is Offspring, and our first preview card.
Offspring
which
is so cool,
pretty
dude.
Powerful here. Warren Warleader.
Look at him, dude. He's so
which
cute.
is a 4/4
Look at
element
him.
with that
Oh, look
Offspring
at him.
ability, and whenever you attack, you either get to make a rabbit or give everything +1/+1. So tell us a bit about this Offspring ability.
Yeah, Offspring is sort of a kicker-like mechanic that appears on creatures, where if you spend a little bit of extra mana,
Because
you
everything's
get an
kicker.
additional copy of
Because
that
everything
creature,
is
except
kicker.
the copy is
That's how it
little baby
works.
1/1. And what's super cool about this mechanic, sort of mechanically and gameplay-wise, is that the creatures often self-synergize, meaning if you have the multiple copies of them from using the Offspring mechanic, they kind of combo together in some way. So the Warren Warleader is a great example
Sorry
of
to
this,
sneeze.
where with its sort of, its ability here can either make tokens or give your team a boost, or you can kind of mix and match the two over the course of a couple turns.
Great, and I noticed something down there. This token's mana cost is 2 white, and I saw a question in chat asking, do the tokens always have a mana value?
They do. They are copies of the creature, so they inherit the mana value that the base creature has.
Okay, and they're all adorable little 1/1s?
Yes.
Do they all come with little tokens like that?
They do. They all have each their individual tokens, so you can kind of collect those as you go.
And I think we've got another Offspring card here with its own adorable little token. Tender Wild Guide. Producer Sean was adamant about us getting this one in the show.
That's a really
awesome.
mid mana dork.
It's adorable. It's got its little buddy there.
Super
Instant mana,
mid.
you can put +1/+1 counters on creatures. All right.
On that creature.
Next,
Not
let's
a
move
creature.
on to another mechanic that's really nice. It's just you're just giving people stuff, Oliver. So tell us about Gift and this first card,
Kidnap.
Yeah, so Gift
Oh
is
my
also
God.
similar to Kicker, except instead of paying additional mana, you give your opponent, or in multiplayer, you get to choose an opponent to receive the gift. And it's often a card.
Yo, this is control magic? Wait a minute.
Fish token.
The fish token one makes me happy. Gifting a fish it feels very Bloomburrow.
Yeah, so depending on how powerful the reward is the gift they are giving kind of is related to that. Card is generally like the most costly gift.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Kidnap here.
Yeah, so Kidnap, it's either, if you don't give the gift, it's kind of a delayed mind control because you can't start attacking with the creature until 3 turns later. But if you do give the gift, you get a full mind control, but it's not card advantage in the same sense mind control generally is.
I think it being tapped is not good.
But you get a big tempo advantage.
It's a big difference. You can't block with it then.
All right, we have another gift card here to show, which is a simpler version of the gift mechanic. Wear Down. Is this what, Oliver, is sort of the balance we see between the different kinds of cards in the set?
Yeah, so I'd say if you're getting like a full carding reward,
What the fuck?
generally you're giving a card. If you're getting a more minor
Oh my
reward,
God.
then you'll get a
2 mana, 2 for 1, bro. Oh, we draw a card.
So
Who
like Wear Down
cares?
here,
It's a sorcery, I guess, but
neutralize
still.
effect, but you can destroy 2 if you give a card, like you said. Cool, makes sense. All right, now let's look at Expend. So we've got Wandertail Mentor here. So Ian, tell us a little bit about Expend.
Expend is a mechanic associated with the raccoon creature type, which appears in red and green. And what Expend says is when you spend your 4th mana on casting spells this turn, you get a little bonus. And you can sort of divide that up whichever way you choose. You could cast 1 big spell that costs 4 or more mana, or you could cast, say, 2 spells that cost 2 mana each, and when you cast the second one, you'll get your Expend trigger. And it always appears on permanent cards, typically creatures like this, where you'll get the bonus after you cast spells when this is already on the battlefield.
And I see it specifically calls that Expend 4. Are there different mana costs with Expend in the set?
Yeah, I sort of glossed over
Uh-oh.
that a little bit. There are a few cards that have different Expend costs, but most of them are 4 at lower rarities. And then there's a couple more exciting ones at high rarities that have, I think, Expend 8 is one of the examples.
Well, I think we saw one of those more exciting ones in the debut. So let's look at Mwera Trash Tactician.
Trash
So
Tactician.
this one, again, has that Expend 4, but it does have Expend 8 as well.
Yep, so you sort of get the basic or the moderate.
Spend
bonus,
8
bonus if you
mana,
spend
bro,
4
to-
mana in a turn, but if you can spend
What?
all the way up to 8, you get
Light up a
80%
stage?
bonus as well.
Makes sense. Now, we haven't
Kinda mid, just
paused
saying.
on this yet, on the treatments, but we showed a lot of the treatments in the debut video, Ian, and then we also have shown a couple here. So let's start talking about these. So this is the Borderless Raised anime card. Where and how can people pick these up?
So these are available in collector boosters only, and they're all in the foil raised treatment. There are 20 cards in the set that have this treatment, and you can get them in collector boosters of any language. They'll usually be English language, but the Japanese collector's boosters have the Japanese language versions of them as well.
Cool. All right, and we'll talk more about treatments as we go along, but if you have questions about treatments, we will try to answer those, or you can put them in chat. I will pause and say I'm seeing a lot of questions in chat about bans. We're not going to talk about that today. We're here to
Why, bro? Why?
So we'll get
Kill
to that.
Nadu, kill
Another
Greaves,
day,
kill
another
One
time. Today
Ring.
we're talking about Bloomburrow.
Give the people what they
So
want,
let's
you
go to
monster.
the next
I don't mean
mechanic,
that. I don't mean that. He's a great
Oliver,
person.
Which is Forage.
Blake Raston loves the game.
Forage,
All right.
We've got Thorn Vault Forager here. Appropriate name. It's a 2-mana 2/2, mana dork.
Is chat
but it
mad?
has
I actually
that
want to see. Is
forage,
chat mad right
add
now?
2 mana and any combination of colors. It's also able to search for a squirrel, which
Ban askers.
for a long time. But, Oliver, let's focus on Forage. What is Forage?
So Forage is the black-green.
Should I keep chat up for
you
the Twitch chat? Should I
basically,
keep it up, or
to
should I just
enable
like
it, you have
keep
to
it full
sacrifice
screen?
a food or exile 3 cards from your
Do
graveyard.
people want to see this?
So
I don't know.
naturally, squirrels are going to be about acquiring food or putting cards in the graveyard. It's fun to combine these two things.
I'll leave it up.
Black-green feeling.
Why not?
ability.
Yep. And we saw a card in the debut as well. So I love Thornveld Forager, but let's bring up Osteomancer Adept here. Oliver, tell us a little bit about this card
Until
as
end
well.
of turn, may
Yeah,
cast
so this is kind of
from your
like a
graveyard by foraging
Underworld's
into.
Breach for creatures, so it's less repeatable than Underworld's Breach, but it still gives a lot of the same kind of big turns. And I'd say
Bro,
with
we
this
got
one,
Yogs,
it's a lot
Will?
about,
It's not really
wanna
Yogsville though.
acquire
You gotta
food
wait a
to
turn. You got
enable it a lot
exile
of the
stuff.
time
Okay, it's not
because
really the same thing as Yogsville.
naturally, if you use cards from your graveyard, you'll have less creatures to bring back.
Still a good card though.
But black, tends to be better at getting cards into the graveyard than acquiring food. So if you're playing like a non-squirrel deck, it's probably going to be more about using cards in your graveyard to enable this.
Okay. In the Showcase Woodland treatment, we've seen a little bit of that so far, Ian. So tell us the story behind
So
that.
So the showcase
Forage
Woodland
is like
treatment
escape, but
available
with a
in
set
both
cost,
collector
but
and
you can
play
also
boosters,
sack
and
food
you can
instead.
get foil or
Okay.
non-foil versions of the cards. There's 42 different cards in the set. 7 of them are mythics, and the rest are regular rares.
All right. And also of note on the different treatments, we will have a collecting Bloomburrow article going up at the conclusion of the show that will have all the details. So if you're in it for the nitty gritty, you'll definitely have that resource after the show. All right.
After
now,
the show.
This next card is a returning mechanic, Oliver, which we
Message deleted by a moderator.
which we showed in the debut, which are the enchantment type class. So here we have Hunter's Talent.
I like these.
When it enters,
This is
every
cool.
creature you control deals damage equal to its power, so it's
Classes
a
are
light
awesome.
Spell in that way. And then the second level is whenever you attack, target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and trample.
Oh,
and then
great.
at the beginning of your end step in level 3, if you control a bigger creature, you get to draw a card. So tell us a bit about classes, Ian.
Yeah, so this is returning mechanic, as you said. We first saw it in AFR, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and there these were classes, sort of like D&D character classes. You had
Bro, I swear, green keeps getting so much push stuff, dude. It's removal, trample, and card draw all in one card. I can't.
lines.
Okay. What led you to include classes in this set?
It's just a really flavorful way of
2
sort of
mana
showing
fight. I mean,
the
it's
way
2
that
mana.
the
That's not
animals
very
would get
great.
together and have their own societies and structures and different.
But it's trample and card draw too, bro.
All
Ah!
right. Next up, we're going to look at this is one of the coolest cycles in the set, Oliver. It's a mythic set. There's 5 of these. Only 5 of these.
Calamity Beasts.
But these are the seasons.
Oh no.
So let's take a look at
Oh!
Season of Loss. And yeah, the card itself, very cool. You can make players sacrifice creatures, draw
Yo, the
cards,
art is
creatures that
sick.
die, and then make people lose life. But the paw print thing is a really cool innovation.
Dominic Mayer's an
Tell us about
amazing
that.
artist, bro.
Yeah, so I like to think of these as like currency cards. You basically get 5 currency, and then depending on how powerful each ability is, it costs an according amount of currency. So naturally, like the 3 is going to be the most powerful, and that's the only one you can't choose multiple times. But there's these are kind of similar to commands from Brothers War. They're just like modal.
They're
big
sorcery, so it
effects
makes them way
cards, but
worse.
Unlike commands, you have more customizable ability.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that these are all self-contained. So like as you're resolving this spell, you're spending all these points on the different modes. It's not like a mechanic like energy where you can sort of save this currency over and
Sure.
mix and match them, right?
Yeah, so you couldn't do the 2 twice and just be like, I'm not going to choose it and save
Right,
a
I'll
ball for
save
it.
1 point for later. No, that doesn't work that way.
No, okay.
Also on this one, the order matters. Like, if you choose like 3 1s and a 2.
So
the
this can
stack
be
will
what?
happen first, and then
It's a
you
board
draw cards
wipe
accordingly
or
afterwards.
card
And we talked
draw.
a lot about design
or
knobs
life-
over time.
life,
This seems to have a lot
direct
of knobs.
damage.
How challenging were these to design?
These were really challenging.
It could also
but we
be
knew
like,
early
wow,
on
it
that
could also
we
be
would
like each player
sort of
sacks
feel
3
like
and you
that
draw
mix
3
and
if you
match and
sack
choose
3
your own
creatures.
combinations and sort of, these
That's
are
kinda
many
nuts.
cards in one in a sense because they have so much flexibility and so many different ways you can combine. But we did put a lot of effort into making sure that the different modes made sense with each other and combined in interesting ways so that each different combination of modes sort of produced a different series of effects in an interesting way.
Okay, let's look at another season as well. That'll put us up to, I think, 3 seasons for the day. Season of the Bold, so the same, they're all 5 paw prints, right? All the same kind of...
Yeah, I think that is where we ended up. Yeah, we tried-
Tap,
we tried
treasure,
mixing
exile
different
top
numbers,
2
but
may
5
play
is
them,
good.
or
All right, so the single paw print mode on this one is
Until
create
your
a
end of your
tapped
next
treasure
turn.
token. 2
2 damage.
is exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play them, and 3 is until the end of your next turn. Whenever you cast a spell, Season of the Bold deals 2 damage to up to 1 target creature. So
Nah.
tell us a little bit more about
this one's mid.
Yeah, so this card is
This one's
a
mid.
lot more delayed than the black one, but it
Which is
enables some
weird,
really
'cause
big
it's red.
turns, if you just are able to spend your turn 5 just kind of taking off and setting up. But with the extra mana from treasures, extra cards, and the powerful board wipe ability, you could have some really big pop-off turns the following turn.
Now I noticed that this creates tap treasure tokens, which seems to be something you all are doing a little bit more often. Is that intentional shift?
Yeah, very much so. It's just a little bit safer in terms of like the explosivity of having a big combo turn and so forth. In this case, you're getting 5 treasure tokens if you spend all of your points on the first mode. So we didn't want you to be able to get like all of your mana back all at once and then continue casting a bunch more spells.
You didn't want it to be a ritual that, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It can be a ritual, but it's sort of at least
A
delayed
delayed,
by 1
yeah.
turn, right? So you're setting up for your next turn.
Very cool. And there are 5 of these. They're all mythic.
Yep.
Yep. And they all get that really cool art treatment. Actually, let's go back to that real quick so that you can tell us about the borderless treatment.
Yeah, so these are example of the borderless treatment here. There are a few other cards that also have this. They're available in both foil and non-foil from both collector and play boosters.
All right. There it is. Yeah, the art on these is stunning. This set really just we say this every set, but we hit a new level again here. The art is amazing and weird and pastoral and dark and all the kinds of things. I don't know. I'm really happy with it. And we're going to see more cool art coming up with, we're going to talk about the archetypes next.
Great.
So next up, we're going to go through all 10 of the archetypes. So Ian, why don't you first tell us kind of about the structure of the set with the different creatures and archetypes?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, the set has a really strong emphasis on creature types.
Of
and
course.
to reflect that,
It's
each of the
Lorwyn
2 color
too.
pairs is limited when you're drafting.
It's
will
Lorwyn
be
too, kind
associated
of,
with
in a weird
particular
way.
creature type. So for example, in white-blue, we have birds. In red-black, we have lizards, and so on and so forth. We'll go through all of them. But the important thing to know is if you're drafting and you just choose a bunch of creatures of the same creature type, they will have a mechanical identity, and your deck will come together in a coherent way. Vice versa, if you pick a color pair and you're doing the mechanical thing there, you'll end up with a lot of creatures of the same type. So it kind of feels like it's in lockstep there in a very cool way.
Cool. All right, so let's start things off with
Made full
bats.
screen again.
This is the white-black crew. Ian, tell us about what bats are up to.
So first off, all the bats have flying, so you'll see that as a common theme among them. And
Yeah.
their sort of mechanical theme is caring about yourself gaining and losing life on your own turn. So you've got a lot of cards that are kind of in the space of a Johnny's Pride Mate, rewarding you for gaining life during your own turn. But because they're in both white and black, they also reward you for paying
This is a
life during your own
nuts
turn.
limited card, by
For
the way.
example,
This is a
a
nuts
card
limited
draw
card.
spell that costs you some life and gives you some cards, that'll also often trigger some of your triggered abilities from your bats. So this card that we're showing here, the Moonrise Cleric, is just a very simpler enabler for that deck where it just attacks and gains you a life, and then it'll pop off all your triggers as a result.
Okay. Now, we've seen gaining life as an identity for white-black. We've seen losing life as how did you land on it being both for bats?
Just a really interesting way of combining both white and black. You know, bats often we think of like vampire bats as like sucking blood, right? So it's like, you know, dealing damage but also gaining life. So it felt both flavorful and also a really unique way of combining the different color pies of white and black together.
Yeah. I also want to go back to that comment.
They're also just in
I
a life
noticed that
game
we're using
for
hybrid
white,
mana
black.
symbols here.
Oh,
Can you talk
yeah.
a little bit about that more in the set?
Yeah, we do have a cycle of hybrid mana commons, and they're meant to sort of be a little bit of a signpost in terms of teaching you what that archetype is about.
Okay.
Because they're hybrid mana, they can sort of blend.
I like that.
into other
Hybrid is
archetypes as
always
well.
cool. It's
And
on
this is
and
a
it's on
simple
commons
enough
too,
one that,
so
you know,
it's
any
great
deck
for
might want to use this for
draft
example,
purposes.
like a white blue deck that's about, you know, birds that also have flying, for example, might want to include this. Just it's a nice card to kind of erase your opponent, gain a little bit of life as you're attacking with an evasive creature.
All right. And we are going to show off all of the hybrid cycle of commons. All right. Let's move over to Oliver and talk about rats with Mind Drill Assailant here.
They brought back Threshold, dude!
We saw in the debut is returning. Talk a little bit about that and how it works with the rats.
Yeah, so rats are all about
Look at
thresholds. There's no
Threshold
threshold
again, dude!
wizard. As you see, this one surveils to kind of enable itself. There's also like self-mill and looting.
I gotta see what chat thinks about that.
Blue-black likes that kind of stuff. And I'd say the rats also have kind of like a ninja flair about them. They have a lot of like hard-to-block creatures. They're a lot about nickel and diming your opponents rather than just going for a
Is
big
no one
swing,
freaking- okay,
although
one
this card is
person
certainly capable
freaked
of
out
that.
about
You can see
Threshold.
It becomes a 5/5.
Ooh, what?
when you have
Turbo?
the
What is
threshold.
Turbo?
Well, I think our next preview card talks a little bit more, or shows a little bit more about that nickel and diming here.
Yeah, so this creature helps enable your other thresholds and itself with the looting, and then eventually just starts getting you full card advantage. which
Dude,
is
Threshold
what
is
the
like
rats
nuts.
Really want.
All right. Next, let's move on to one that is sure to be a fan favorite, Ian, which is Blue-Red Otters. This might be my favorite creature type in the set. They're adorable, but they're also spell slingers. So tell us about this otter wizard and the otters in general.
Dude,
Yeah,
look at
I
him.
mean, like you
He's
said,
got
otters
a
were super
fish
popular
skeleton
throughout
for a
playtesting.
staff,
This is
dude.
a spell slinger deck that cares about casting instants and sorceries. So you'll see, for example, a lot of the otters have prowess or caring about instants and sorceries in some other way. And there's a couple different ways you can build this deck. You can either sort of be the classic tempo-oriented red-blue deck where you're playing some early creatures with prowess or that care about instants and sorceries, and then following them up by removing your opponent's creatures or putting them off balance with bounce spells or stun spells. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is more of a controlling blue-red deck that's focused more on card advantage with a lot of removal spells, and you're trying to prolong the game and then finish your opponent off later.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
Here's one of those prowess.
Another
we're talking
one.
About. This seems like a powerful little wizard that combines
Another spell
a couple
reducer
abilities we've
for
not seen
Is It
in the same
decks.
place before.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one that
Commander
really
staple.
has some applications for constructed decks as well.
There you
in
go.
terms of being able to pop off with a big flurry of spells in one turn and then hit your opponent for a bunch of damage.
All right. Next up, we're going to switch to black-red and
Rip
some
Goblin
wizards
Electromancer.
with
You play 'em
Cindering-
both.
Cindering Cutthroat, a lizard assassin, which is a heck of a creature type line. But Oliver, tell us what the lizards are up to in this set.
Yeah, they're pretty aggro. They're like a bloodthirst type of archetype, so they're all about getting advantage after you dealt a bit of damage to your opponent. So really good with like pinging effects and small unblockable creatures to enable it.
Okay, it seems to me like some of these, we're getting a look at, we're going through the archetypes, and it seems to me like some of the archetypes are built to be a little bit more closely associated. So like we look at the black-white common, which it attacks, it makes them lose, or you gain a life. But their abilities to lose life, the lizards care about losing life. Are there any color pairs that are more intentionally, like more closely tied?
Yeah, one example of that, and we'll see this a little bit later on, is the Sultai color pairs, blue, black, and green, all care about the graveyard in some way. So we saw the squirrel mechanic earlier on was the keyword action forage,
Yep.
where you can exile cards from your graveyard to help pay for costs. On the flip side, rats care about threshold, right? So both those
Right.
decks want to fill the graveyard. That would be an example. And we did put some effort into making sure that there was blending from one archetype to the next.
That's
because
really
we
good,
didn't want
actually.
them to be, you know, totally
Good on you,
siloed,
design
like
team.
The mice are doing one thing and the birds are doing something completely different, because then sort of the draft would just divide up the cards among who's doing which archetype, and you're not competing for the same resources. So we wanted to make sure there was enough blending that you can kind of go your own path and mix and match the creature types in different ways.
Awesome. Great.
All right, well, let's actually talk about the squirrels next. So black-green squirrels is our next archetype. We have Corpseberry Cultivator, which is a heck of a card name there. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may forage, and whenever you forage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Yeah, talk about this card.
Yeah, so this is telling you just what the squirrels are about doing, which is foraging here. So you can either fill your graveyard and exile cards from your graveyard, or create food. And
Fruit
sacrifice
grows from the
and this card
corpses
rewards
of
you for
calamity
any of your
beasts.
Other cards foraging, so it gives you a way to forage, but also whenever any of your other cards ask you to forage, this will get bigger as well. So
Interesting.
really kind of ties together all the different things that are going on with the squirrels. And as you're building this deck, you can either choose to lean into the food theme of it, or you can lean into the graveyard theme of it and be more of like a traditional black-green mid-range deck that's maybe recurring creatures from the graveyard and things along those lines.
And our next card that's sticking with the squirrel archetype is the secret unsung hero of this set, which is Puns. So here is Cash Grab. Ian, tell us a little bit more about Cash Grab here.
Yeah, just a nice little smoothing utility spell to give you some card quality and help fill your graveyard, which you can then use to...
Bro, squirrels are going to go
pay for forage
nuts
costs and so on.
after it's set. Dude, they're going to be so good.
I do want to stick with this because this set is pretty high in puns. Now I know you're not in the group that names it, but was that kind of intentional? Did you all have a lot of fun with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just so tempting when you're talking about adorable little animals to get in as many puns as you can, and certainly the Vision Design team handed off a bunch of cards with, you know, at the time playtest names that had puns in the names. A lot of those changed over time, but in the end, the creative team did a great job making sure to capture that fun and flavor.
The next one is not a pun, but let's look at Valley Rotcaller. So one thing I want to note here, and this was highlighted in the debut, is sort of the
That's so good.
of creatures here. So can you talk a little bit about the squirrels, bats, lizards, and
Oh my
rats?
god.
Yeah, so this is something we refer to
Two
as
mana
batch
drain you
creature
for
type
7
holding
on
that we're
attack.
combining
Also
several creature
Menashe
types
for some
together.
reason.
This is something we came up with during set design because we realized we wanted a strong emphasis on the creature types because, you know, these are lovable different types of animals that people are going to want to be able to build decks around. But a lot of these creature types are either appearing for the first time in Bloomburrow, or there just aren't very many cards, or there aren't very many strong cards throughout Magic's history that have these creature types. So we realized that if we wanted to care about the creature types in some way, we wanted to broaden things a little bit so that you could maybe combine a couple different types of animals together, or play it with your choice of whichever is your favorite creature type.
And they all are like,
we have a cycle of rares here in this space.
these creatures all have black in their mana costs, so they
4 different creature
they
types
blend
each,
well too.
and the way that
Good
works
job,
is
design
that
team, honestly.
Those are the 4 creature types that appear in black. So the black-white
I
bats.
I just said
the
that.
Black-blue squirrels, the black-green, black-blue rats, black-green squirrels, and black-red lizards. So those are the 4 creature types that appear on the black example here.
Makes sense. And this card in particular looks pretty powerful for a 2-drop.
Yeah, I mean, Oliver can maybe speak more to that, but there's definitely packs a punch here.
Yeah, combination of menace and effectively unblockable drain damage definitely does a lot. Got to make sure to have 2 blockers for this one.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we'll stick with you, Oliver, and we'll talk about mice, which
Mice!
well, the
Let's
most-
go! Not
probably-
rats!
arguably the most
Totally
adorable,
different.
Creature type in this set. They are also pretty aggressive, Oliver.
Yep. Mice are about valiant, which is like a heroic like mechanic or ability word, but
Heroic plus.
has
It's
some
heroic
key
plus.
differences from heroic.
Well,
It
no,
also
it's
triggers
yeah,
off abilities,
okay.
so it works with
It's first
summons
time, not
and,
each time.
targeted activated abilities on other creatures, but it only works once per turn. So it's more about having a bunch of different valiant creatures and then triggering all those in your turn, rather than the typical heroic gameplay, which is more about just having one heroic creature and then putting a bunch of pump effects onto that one creature.
Okay. And then, so what are the mice trying to do then when you're drafting them?
Yeah, I'd say you want to have a good combination of valiant creatures, and I
Sorry.
feel like equipment are the most powerful way to enable these.
Set an
'cause you
alarm
just
for
pay the equip cost
like
for each of
12:45,
your
but the
valid
Twitch thing
creatures
lied to
and
me.
trigger all them in one turn.
Mm-hmm.
But also like combat tricks or like bite effects go a long way to enabling these.
Anax and Kymede
Well,
players
let's go back
are
to Ian, and we've already
losing
talked
their minds
a
right
little
now.
bit about raccoons, but let's say see Junkblade Bruiser and talk more about raccoons.
Raccoons are in red and green, and they're the biggest of the main supported creature types in Bloomburrow. So we wanted to emphasize that they get a little bit bigger than some of the other creature types by using the expend mechanic that we talked about earlier on. So this is again when you spend your expend 4 is when you spend your 4th mana or more.
Are there any bears in this set at all?
Here. And once again, you can do that either by casting just one big spell that costs 4 or more mana, or dividing it up among a few other spells. And it leads to some pretty interesting strategic gameplay. For example, if I have this out already and I play a 2-drop creature before I attack, you might get a little suspicious. Does that mean I have a two cost instant spell in my hand that I'm going to cast during combat? So you can kind of set things up in that way, or even set up some interesting bluffs where you're sort of threatening the.
I'm sorry if I'm not like talking much here. I'm just trying to like make sure I'm not like speaking over the guy too much, or Blake Grass is in here.
Yeah, we did.
Or Ian Duke rather. Sorry.
Set design. We tried it out with working on activated abilities like sacrificing food, for example. But it turned out it was a little bit too easy and a little bit too on board, right? Where you could trick your opponent with sort of like face up ways to spend a bunch of mana at instant speed. So we ended up going with just the spell mechanic, and it plays a lot better.
All right. Oliver, let's move on to the green-white creature type, which is rabbits, which I know is going to be a favorite of many. So here we've got Head of the Homestead. Look at that adorable little bunny crew. When Head of the Homestead enters, you create
They're adorable.
1/1 white rabbit creature tokens, which are going to be those adorable tokens on the right there. So Oliver, tell us about the green-white rabbit.
It's not that adorable.
Rabbits are naturally about going wide. Just
Christopher
make a bunch of
Robin.
rabbit tokens and then play like a mass
brother.
pump effect to kill your opponent that way.
Yeah. And we saw a rare version of this in the debut, which is Phineas Ace Archer.
This guy's
so
nuts,
tell us
dude.
a
He's
little
actually
bit
so
about,
strong.
Phineas, Oliver.
Yeah, so Phineas is just one of those go wide payoffs. It obviously works with rabbits, but for more backwards compatibility, it also just works with tokens in general. So
Which is the main part, so it
constructed deck,
matters.
you could just build a normal green-white token stack that doesn't necessarily have a lot of rabbits and still use Phineas to good effect.
And that's a commonality among. We actually have a cycle of these legendary creatures.
It's
rare,
other
one for
creature.
each of the
Okay.
Color pairs.
So
and
Phineas himself does
creature
not grow.
types.
Okay.
And for many of them, we wanted to make them work really well
Never mind.
mechanically with what the creature type was doing in the set, but be a little bit more generic, so it's not locked in. For example, Phineas isn't locked into just being a rabbit-only card. Like as Oliver said, it works with just any old token deck.
All right. We're sticking with rabbits for a second to stay on the pun train. Here's Hop to It. Oliver, how does Hop to It fit into the set besides being punny?
Yeah, so it's just
3 mana,
easy
3
way to go
tokens.
wide with rabbits.
Those
basically just an
tend
argument
to be
hand.
pretty good.
These kind of cards have had success in the past, and hopefully this one will do good work for
Triplicate
your,
spirits,
standard rabbit
but no
deck.
flying.
All right. Let's move back into frogs. Ian, so we got a pretty simple preview.
Pond
card here,
Prophet.
Pond Prophet, which doesn't have the frog mechanic on it, but it's indicative of what frogs are trying to do, correct?
Yeah, frogs are, they're very much about enter the battlefield effects, and that's because the frog mechanics involve sort of blinking and bouncing your frogs from the battlefield into exile, then back onto the battlefield, or back to your hand so you can cast them again. So it's very much like a value-oriented deck where you're trying to reuse these enter the battlefield effects turn after turn. And so as the frog deck builds up its board, it sort of gets to a late game state where it's sort of a value engine type of a deck where you're drawing lots of cards and getting lots of value in terms of +1/+1 counters and other things like that by using your frogs multiple times.
Blink deck and Simic is very
Someone
strange to me.
just noted this in chat, and we've
If that's the
it's been
thing.
out there for a little bit, but we haven't really talked about it officially. Can you talk a little bit about just enters? For the longest time, we've been using enters the battlefield. We've now shortened it to enters.
Yeah, this is new with Bloomburrow, and it's something we're going to be doing going forward with our templates. We are always thinking about our rules and templates and the words that go on our cards and trying to streamline that and make that a better experience for our players.
We can fit more. So we can fit
very
more
much,
text on cards.
Trying not to be stuck in the past that enters the battlefield. What were the old words that we were using for quite a long time, but we realized we can just shorten that, take some words off the card, make it read more naturally, like natural English language, and just kind of simplify things going forward.
All right.
You can also just say now like enter
final
pawn
archetype
profit,
here,
and that just
Oliver.
goes hard.
Birds.
To be honest, as opposed to
Blue, white
pawn profit
birds.
enters the
We have
battlefield.
Seed pod squire here. Say that 5 times fast. And when
You gotta
it
say it
attacks
like a-
target
like
creature
a
you control without
announcer
flying gets +1
for wrestling.
on the turn. Oliver, that's a pretty unique line right there.
Yeah, birds are definitely pretty weird.
My dogs are barking. I'm so
because all
sorry.
the birds have flying, but
They'll stop in a
want
moment.
to work with non-flyers.
Mm-hmm.
This is largely a concession to limited, just because having like 2 between birds and bats of archetypes where all your creatures have flying just leads to pretty boring gameplay where you can't really block any of your opponent's creatures. So birds are more about combining the birds with creatures from the other archetypes to enable the non-flying thresholds.
All right.
And that's also reflective of some of the creative elements of Bloomburrow, where the birds are just sort of like helpful creatures that are kind of around helping everybody else out. So it makes sense both from a mechanical standpoint and a flavor standpoint. And one of my secret favorite archetypes to draft is birds plus mice, because a lot of the birds have ways of triggering the Valiant ability. For example, giving another mouse flying, which then makes it evasive, but also triggers its Valiant.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And then our next bird card is because I get to pick these, and it's a pun. So it's Strike Force. But this is flying, double strike, vigilance. What are we doing with this card in limited, Oliver?
It's a strong standalone card. I also like it in the mouse decks because you're going to have combat tricks, so you could pump this up for a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. Now, how?
Okay, we're good now.
I mean, obviously, you're designing
Stop
cards
barking.
that are white and
Hello, Mr.
blue
Jojo.
cards that are blue. But overall, you mentioned they're putting this in mice decks.
Yes,
How
I know.
much did you pay attention
love you,
to
kisses, thank
colors
you.
versus hybrid
Want
versus
down?
gold cards to make sure that they
Down?
fit in different
Okay.
archetypes in different ways?
You can come down.
It was definitely something we thought a lot about. We wanted to make sure that the set, as I said earlier, wasn't too siloed and that things blended together a little bit. So in choosing, whether a card was monocolor or hybrid or gold, like a lot of it is how easy it is to cast and how many decks can it go in. So largely we tried to aim the gold cards at being very directional and teaching you what the archetypes are about. The monocolor cards being sort of a little bit more flexible than that, where they go in the archetypes, but they might be generically useful enough that they can go in a neighboring archetype instead. And then the hybrid ones we tried to make sort of like a little bit instructional as to what that color pair is doing, but also generically useful so that they can slot into other decks. If you're short on playables, you can reach for a hybrid card that was sort of meant for another deck. But can slot into
Honestly,
yours.
great draft design from the team
And
here.
then
Like, this is
you
actually really
see
good for limited.
all 10 of the common
This
hybrid
format is going to be
cards.
good. I can already tell.
Are there other hybrid cards in the set? Are these the only ones?
No, I believe these are the only ones. Yeah, just the 10 commons.
Okay, that's fine.
Before we leave mechanics, we're going to go on to Calamity Beast next, but there
Yes!
was a question I wanted to grab from chat, which was about the expend mechanic, and the question was, can you trigger or meet the requirements for expend on your opponent's turn as well?
You can on your opponent's turn as well. It's obviously a little bit harder, to spend a lot of mana on your opponent's turn, but you can do it. And one other rules thing that comes up often with expend is that you can only meet the certain expend threshold once per turn.
Right.
Regardless of sort of how you divided it up or what order things come into play. It's looking at the whole turn from start to finish, how much mana you've spent up until that point.
Okay. And again, if you want to dive deep into the mechanics,
Calamity Beasts!
article that
Show
will
them to
go up
me!
on
I want to see them!
dailymcg.com
I want to see
after
cool elemental monsters.
this stream. All right, Ian, we're going to go back to you to talk about Calamity Beasts. So we saw some in the debut, but let's go over it again. What are Calamity Beasts?
So we've seen lots of small, little, adorable animals, but as with any Magic set, we want to make sure that we have variety in the
Titans,
cards
bro.
that we're
Motherfucking
showing here.
Titans.
So we have some big, powerful, heavy hitters as well. These are the Calamity Beasts here, and from a creative standpoint, they sort of represent like walking natural disasters. Like the giant blackbird shows up and brings nightfall with it, or the giant fish swims up, the Leviathan fish swims up and brings a tidal wave with it, that sort of thing. So we tried to give them sort of big, destructive powers.
Show
to
me 'em, dude, show
contrast
me 'em.
the mostly like helpful
Please.
and oriented smaller animals that are part of the 10 main archetypes.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at our preview of a Calamity Beast here. We've got Beza the Bounding
Ah!
Spring. I am going to read this one because
Oh, looks so
there's
cool.
what's going on with this 4/5 elemental elk. When it enters, create a treasure token, and if an opponent controls more lands than you,
I'm kind of in the
you
way.
gain
Can I
4
like?
life,
Should
and an
I?
opponent has more life than you.
Is that better?
You get 2
So you read this one
1/1
a little
blue
easier?
fish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you.
More
And
lands
you
than you.
draw a card if an opponent has more cards than you. So Ian, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so I
Okay,
mentioned
this one
earlier that
actually
most of the
sucks.
Calamity Beasts
This
are
one actually
destructive,
sucks.
this
It's
is
so
sort of the
mid.
exception to that rule being the mono white one.
It's literally just timely reinforcements, but on a creature.
with
It's
it
so
and bringing
goofy.
lots of
I
sort
don't
of
like
bounty
that.
and benefits, reminiscent of cards we've seen in the past, like timely reinforcements. And this is interesting white color pie space where it's saying like if your opponent is outpacing you and they're ahead of you in a certain
Mythic
aspect of the
reinforcements,
game,
bro.
that you're
All
catching
right.
up a little bit.
All
with
right.
this ability here.
Very cool. Now we saw one. Oliver, I'm going to go to you for this next one. We saw one in the debut article. That was on the destructive
The art is
side,
still
so
amazing, though. I'm not
you've
gonna
got
lie.
mods, Feathers Knight here. That's an interesting line with creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1.
This one's
A
cool.
lot of
I like
interesting
this
things
one.
you could do with this card. Combine it with like engineered plague. type
Knight of
cards,
Souls
and
Betrayal.
give your opponents a bad time.
You
that
will
way.
have no creatures, and you will like
it's
it.
A solid, hard to kill body by itself that does a lot of damage, and also enables a lot of attacks. Like even if your opponent has a 6/6 blocker in play, you could start attacking with your 1/1s and whatnot.
Yeah. And
Base
I don't recall,
toughness
Ian,
1.
We talked about borderless field notes yet. If not, let's
it's so good.
cover again where borderless field notes are found.
Yeah, so these are specifically to the Calamity Beast. There's 8 cards in the set, 7 mythic, 1 rare. They're all Calamity Beasts, and they can appear. This treatment can appear in both foil and non-foil, in both collector boosters and play boosters.
All right, very cool. Next up, Oliver, we're going to run through. We've seen a couple of these, but the next 5 cards are a series of uncommons that you can get in promo packs through your local game store. So we've seen Hop to It, Shoreline Looter, Wear
Fell!
Down, and Stormcast
Oh, it's a
Mentor,
sorcery.
and
Okay,
then
never mind.
you've
It's not that
got
good.
Fell in the middle there, which destroy target creature for 2 mana. Oliver.
It's a
That's
sorcery.
a
No one
good one.
cares.
Yeah,
It's not good.
very exciting catch-all removal spell. I
No.
just like how clean it is, but it has to be a sorcery, whereas a lot of these variants of these cards are instants.
Just play Terminate, chat.
That's the common.
Mouse Parents,
function
Black
for
Red. I don't
to
care.
Destroy anything.
Yeah. I also have to call out that art there. We used that art pretty early on the set, but
We did?
That's some pretty fantastic art on film.
We did use that? What?
Yeah.
When? Where?
All
What?
these cards are not the most splashy cards, but they're very strong workhorse cards that will probably make an impact on a variety of archetypes, even outside of just the Bloomburrow types.
Goblin, Electromancer,
I
eat your
did
heart
notice,
out.
You know, you've got a white card, a blue card, a black card, a green card, a gold card. Do you guys know how you ended up on that instead of grabbing a red card?
I think we were just mostly looking for just appealing cards and sort of the broader aspect of Magic, where even if you're not like super zeroed in on Bloomburrow specifically, that these are useful cards to you. So.
All right, cool. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about one of the most fun and exciting aspects of the set, which is the Imagine Courageous Critters. So,
The
these
Planeswalkers?
are cards that are reimagined as if they went into Bloomburrow. Because
I wanna
if
see
you don't
these,
know,
dude.
Bloomburrow has.
I have an
has
Atraxa
plenty
deck.
of
I'm gonna put like
special
all these in there
you
just so
can
it's
become
funny.
some kind of animal. Now, some of the courageous critters were already animals, but they get Bloomburrowized a little bit, which is really fun.
What?
So first, before we talk about these, Ian, tell us a little bit about where you can find courageous critters and what their legality is, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so this treatment, as you said, they're reimagined pre-existing Magic cards, so they're not going to be made standard legal by appearing in these forms. These are just legal in whatever formats they're already legal, but these are cool new versions
They're
of them.
booster fun.
And they're
It's
available
booster
in
fun.
both foil and non-foil, but these ones are only available in collector boosters specifically.
Okay. The one
Oh.
exception to that is that Ral is not an Imagine Courageous Critter. It's in the main set, correct?
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Black Calamity is an answer to
and as
Ragavan.
you'll see
Modern
with
is
our first two
saved.
cards,
Is
they're
it?
Not all Planeswalkers. So
It's
for the
base
first
toughness one.
I've
It's
already
not. They
seen,
get -1,
chat
-1.
calling this card forth with several of the squirrel cards. But this
Right?
is Chatterfang Squirrel General.
Why?
You've got that
Why is
Imagine
he
Courageous
here?
Critters in the middle there. and
Oh,
then
because that's
has
where
a
he's
border
from,
space.
obviously.
And as you can see, it's going to be in a commander deck as well.
I wish, bro. He also costs
All
5,
right,
and I don't think
now we
Ragman's an
got
issue
a
anymore, to be
pair of
honest. It's
reimagined
it's
planeswalkers.
like Nadu bullshit
This one,
now.
I love this art. That's all I'm gonna say. When we see Nissa, who shakes the world.
Yo! There she is!
Yeah, do you know how the creator
She's a frog!
picks, what animals these creatures
I
are?
couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
We're gonna have to get some people. Yeah.
Yeah. Love to find some of the stories, though.
Yeah. I actually, that's a good plug. Next week we are going to talk about that. So
Bro, I'm
next week
totally
we're
getting
actually
her.
gonna
I'm
reveal,
totally getting her. I'm getting all
the
these planeswalkers for
slate of
Atraxa.
courageous critters beyond what
I
we can
absolutely
today,
am.
And we're going to talk about a lot of the art choices and concepting for those. But first, Nissa, who shakes the world as a frog. And then we have Liliana of the Dark Realms as a
Yo! What the
dark,
fuck?
evil-looking squirrel.
That's really
My-
cool.
my-
I love the color.
no, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
We got Squirrel Liliana!
Okay, yeah,
We got
so,
Squirrel Liliana for GTA
there
6!
Are, again, there are
We
two
got
types of
Squirrel
dark
for
dice
GTA
boosters.
6.
The ones that are found in the commander. There are ones that are found in the collector boosters, and then there are 4 that are found in the commander decks.
Dude, look at her! She's reviving fucking squirrel skeletons, dude!
Cameo in the debut video. We'll see the rest as we look at the commander decks. Finally, we saw these in the debut as well, but I want to talk about one of the more delightful things you can open in packs, which are the seasonal basics. Ian, what's
These
the
look up.
story
These are
behind
eh.
the basics here?
So these are super sweet.
I can't like these anymore, dude. They need to put this back in the middle. I don't understand why they moved the mana symbol. It makes them so ugly.
In both the collector boosters and play boosters, and what's
My
really cool about
OCD
these is,
screams when I look at these
each
now.
one, each of the basic lands has 4 different seasons that it's.
The art is
available
beautiful,
in,
though, I'm not
so
gonna
you can
lie.
collect all of those or choose your favorite one.
Plus 4
and it's
seasons
worth
is
noting
cool.
That the different seasons appear at different frequencies. So I don't have the exact numbers on that, but I believe spring and summer are a little bit more common than, for example, the winter ones.
Yeah, which makes sense because that's their seasons of plenty. It makes sense. It's
Seasons
also
of
in the
plenty.
collecting article where you can see the exact breakdown of how often you'll find spring, summer, autumn, and the chilly winter ones. All right, and then finally, before we get to, we have a little bit of time for questions. So we've got a couple more preview cards, and then we'll dive into some Q&A.
I gotta ask how many playwalkers
let's
there
look
are in
at
total.
Just a couple adorable preview cards. So this is a reprint.
Aww.
But that art, the flavor text,
Christopher
and
Robin.
Run Away Together is all
Oh bother!
a really
I'm
good
gonna call
card.
this the Winnie the Pooh set, bro.
And this is no exception.
Even though it's like kind of doesn't make
Nobody bothered
sense.
to look for Lebo and Pola because everybody knew they didn't want to be found. That's some sweet art there.
Oh.
All right, flipping the script, but again, this is just art I like, I guess, is the category we're in. Ruthless Negotiation. Now, Ian, I will call out that we haven't seen a ton of flashback in this set, and this card has flashback all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's because there isn't a ton of flashback in this.
It's
set. There's actually
deciduous.
just one black uncommon.
I know the
and
answer to
one blue
this.
Uncommon, I believe, unless I'm forgetting maybe a rare or two.
They're using it now because
but
it's easier to
just a little-
understand.
Little light addition there. We've sort of decided that flashback is something that is sort of deciduous, that it can appear, from time to time in sets without being a major mechanic. And it just made sense to have a couple flashback cards here, given the graveyard themes of the rats and the squirrels. So you just see a little bit of hint of that in this set.
Bro, this otter's missing an eye.
Again, with
That otter is missing an eye, bro.
and then finally, Repel Calamity.
Or no, that's
is the
a
card we
ferret.
Used really early on, and we figured we might as well show what the card actually does here. So we've seen in a lot of variations of this destroy target big creature sort of thing. So how did we land it? Repel Calamity.
It's reprise.
Sort
Reprisal.
of the next in line of a variant here. We just want to make sure that there was a little bit more removal available, especially for the large Calamity beasts that appear at higher rarity.
Dude,
especially
they're
now that we're
so
moving into
cool.
the new Play
Calamity
Booster
beasts are
world
so
where,
cool.
there's more rares appearing in the drafts and stuff. We just want to make sure there's just a little bit more availability of answers.
Makes sense. And also fantastic art. And I honestly swear to you, did not put together Repel Calamity and the fact that this kills Calamity Beasts together until just this moment. So good job naming team. Finally,
got
we
me.
do have the set
I didn't
symbols
either.
here, just to put them out there because this shows you what. So we got Bloomburrow, the main set. We've got the commander in the middle and
Cool
special
commander
guests.
icon. It's like a
That's the
flower.
Same special guests symbol that we use for all of the special guests. All right, we do have time for some questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in chat.
I just
It
wanna
helps
ask
for
him.
me if you tag @magic, and we will ask Ian and Oliver about
How
these.
many?
So let's start with tell me there is a bat sorin. You can't actually
I
tell
can't
them
yet,
that.
but we may find out down the road.
Let's see. All right. First, just the art is amazing, and then will there be support for 3 colors in limited? Since you probably want to mix and match at least 2 creature types.
They already said yes.
Yeah, so we definitely made sure there's ample mana fixing in limited, and certainly throughout playtesting, people did definitely splash or play 3 colors. For example, I mentioned earlier that like rats and squirrels play well together.
Yep.
If you want to build a Sultai deck, these aren't the primary strategies. I wouldn't imagine that you've got 4 people at a draft table doing 3+ colors or anything like that. But if you want to, you certainly can. And we definitely.
Why does every set need a special guest sheet now? It's just like
will
it's a
all
way for them to do
14 cards
reprints.
and play boosters be from the Bloomburrow
Right,
main
that's
set
all it really
and
is. It's kind of like the
play
lists, but it's just the
Yeah, I
version
believe
for the
that's
set.
Correct.
Which I'm not really totally
I'd have to
against in a
double
way,
check on
because
that,
like
but let me not commit
as
to
the
an
game
answer
gets
on that.
bigger,
We might have some more information for you.
I would say as more
believe,
players start playing the game, the
you can
prices
get
are the prices
some-
of
no,
everything
yeah,
I
let's
think
not commit
are
to
just
that
gonna go
right now.
up. So
all right.
them finding ways to incorporate
With the
reprints
paw
into
prints,
standard sets, I
let's
think
see,
actually is a good
Do you get
thing,
the pause
even
to
if it
spend
does
from
lead
casting
to
the modal spell,
a
or is it
bit of
separate
confusion
from
regarding
casting
like
the
legality.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier, but yeah, just to clarify that again, those spells are totally self-contained. So when every time you cast a spell, you get sort of 5 points worth to spend on the modes. There's no external way of getting additional points, before you cast the spell, and you can't carry any over to the next spell. It's just totally self-contained.
All right. Can I break a promise when I gift? I'm not really a gift-giving kind of person.
It's a good question. Good question. So the way gift works, and again, we'll have a whole rules FAQ and stuff like that. But basically, as you cast the spell, you're making the decision of whether to promise the gift to your opponent or not.
Yep.
And then when the spell resolves, they receive the gift as the spell is resolving. So if somebody counterspells the spell or it fizzles for whatever reason, your opponent won't get the gift if you're not also getting the spell effect.
All right.
Guests are
This
pretty
is the
rare.
most
I agree,
important
they are
question.
pretty rare, but
Blake, what would you be if you went to
Yeah,
Bloomburrow? And
yeah.
We'll all answer this. I have my answer.
I
ready
guess it's a fair
because our
point.
team
I'm not
actually
really
talked
sure
about
how
this
much
yesterday.
special
I would
guests
be either
actually
an
drive
otter or
prices
a
down.
rat.
I'm not sure. I actually would like to know
Probably
about
depending on
some
my mood.
info
I
about
lean
that, to be
otter,
honest.
but I have to be realistic, and sometimes I would probably be a rat. Ian.
Good question. I think I'd probably be a bird of some sort. Because I
What would
like
I
helping
be?
other
I'm not
people
sure.
out, and being generally useful to the
I'd be an
community
otter.
around me.
I would
Probably
absolutely be an
owl,
otter, dude.
maybe, just
I'd be an
'cause,
otter
okay,
or a
sometimes
ferret,
I
I
like to
think.
stay-
Little curveball.
Stay a little
outside
bit
the-
aloof
all right.
and
All
kind
my
of,
Gen
play
Z
into
brain
the
rot
wise,
humor,
elder kind of aspect or whatever.
Yep. Oliver.
I would definitely be an otter. I just like casting spells and frolicking in the river. Sounds like a good lifestyle.
It does. It does. It really does.
Okay, maybe a ferret makes more sense for me then.
Um,
If Oliver
Alright,
thinks he's an
was
otter,
there
maybe I'm a
any
ferret.
intentionality to create
Or a
cards with
squirrel,
less
a
boxes,
squirrel,
fewer
right? I could be a
words, or
squirrel.
simpler mechanics. You talked a little bit about that with enters.
Yeah, it's always something that we're thinking about. There's always a careful balance between making cards that are, simpler and more accessible and have fewer words on them versus making things that are exciting and are going to, wow fans of Magic that have been playing for 5, 8, 10 years, right? So it's always a little bit of a push and pull there, and it's always sort of a value calculation of like, are these extra words worth it versus can we trim some words and still get 95% of the functionality that we want out of this card.
All right. Is the dragon bird from a different plane than Bloomburrow?
What dragon bird?
We don't have any other dragons.
We didn't show off
I
no
don't
dragon
wanna
bird.
Really spoil anything. I think there
Yeah.
might be some more information, but it's a great question, and you're definitely catching on to the right things.
Yep, we saw a lot of. I will call out to all of the Bloomburrow story is out. It's 5 episodes. The last
All of it?
episode came out yesterday, so you can read it all again on dailymtg.com. If you haven't read it yet, there's also an audio version of all 5 stories, all out already. So if
Yo.
you're more the podcasting type. You
I
can
didn't know
listen
that.
to the Bloomburrow story being read.
That's
So
actually so
if you
cool.
haven't
Wait a
checked out
minute.
the
That's so
story,
cool.
From what I've
They're doing
seen, it's
audiobooks
really
for
well
Magic Stories
received.
now? I didn't know that.
So there are 5 episodes to either read or listen to right now. Let's see. Are we getting more sable and or ferret creatures in Bloomburrow? We did see that there are
What's a sable?
some kind of one-ofs here and there for some different creature types. So sable or ferret?
No,
I don't
legit,
wanna
actually,
speak
what
to
is a
either of
sable?
those specifically, just because I don't recall exactly where a bunch of the sort of
The fuck
one-off
is this
creatures landed
thing?
with their final creature
Sure.
types and art treatments and things like
What
that.
is this,
But there
bro?
are, like you said, lots of one-off creatures. We called them cameo creatures
Yep.
throughout set design, of just making sure that in addition to the 10 majorly supported creature types, that we had a variety of.
This is
other
a sable,
creatures for
apparently.
Fans of those, and just to kind of convey the variety.
It's a
of
weird
creatures.
ferret, I guess.
I saw a question about when we're going to show off the special guest cards. That's going to be next week's show. We're going to talk about special guest cards, and we're going to talk about courageous critters, basically things that have some really cool art treatments. We're going to talk about. We're going to have some art folk on the show next week.
Next week.
Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da.
I will not be sharing my reaction to that.
Whoa, jumped on me here.
People want to see the car,
let's see.
not the snow ferret. Oh yeah, that sounds about right for sable. Or
Is
he
the
was pretty
list
fluffy.
Back with Bloomburrow. So that's no. It's special guests. So yes and no.
Yeah, and that goes back to the earlier question of like, are all of the cards in the play boosters from the main set? And I believe you're right that we do have the special
The
guests.
special guests
Yeah.
can show up, and they are the ones that are a little bit different. Yep. Will we get a board wipe? You can say yes or no.
Yeah, in fact, I think
Ugh.
we saw a variant of one
Ugh.
earlier, right, in the
The
black
Season of Lost.
Every
Yeah,
stairs has a
time.
board wipe now, bro. Every one.
Does Offspring always cost 2?
No, it's not necessarily always 2. The ones we saw were, but there are a variety of costs for Offspring.
Yep.
What other ones? There was only a 2-mana one, bro.
Multi-kicker, so this is
Also,
good.
5 viewers is
Yeah,
kind of
once,
nuts.
twice.
You
I
can
think it's a
only
new record
play
for me, to be
once,
honest.
so you can only get
Thank
at least
you.
one additional 1/1 copy.
Even though I haven't been live in like 2 weeks because
Are
my
there
arena
going to be a lot
account is
of
like
food
fucked
makings,
right now.
though?
It's not working at all.
Yeah, there's definitely a good.
I
amount
can't
of
get in the
food in
games.
set. It's both a great flavor fit in terms of the pastoral
Support has
environment,
done nothing to help.
and then also plays into the squirrel mechanic specifically. One thing we try to do is give you other things to do with your food rather than just sacrificing it to gain life. Just because that can kind of tend to inflate life totals and make limited games go longer.
Mhm.
So you'll see
Also,
lots
it's
of
just annoying.
Things to do with food in addition to the food itself.
Okay. Oliver, I think this is a good question for you. How do you balance the power of the set with the fact that most of the creatures are small?
Yeah.
That is a
yeah.
good question.
So for limited,
I
the
ain't gonna lie.
raccoons tend to be on the bigger side, so it helps like give them a clear identity. And then for constructed, it's actually kind of nice because cheaper cards tend to be stronger in constructed, so it's easy to make a lot of like the rares and exciting legendary cards in the set on the cheaper side to give them a better shot in constructed.
All right. Did you ever consider heroic instead of valiant?
We didn't specifically consider heroic. The vision design team did hand off Valiant more or less where it is right now. We did try a couple different variants of Valiant in terms of like, being able to trigger multiple times per turn or what things did and didn't trigger it before settling on the final version. Heroic specifically, I will say, having worked on sets like Theros in the past, requires a lot of set infrastructure around it. And here we knew we wanted Valiant to just be a mouse mechanic, which is really like a 1/10 slice of the set, right? 'Cause
A
it's just
mouse
one of the 10
mechanic.
color pairs. So we knew we wanted
Okay.
something that was a little bit easier to do and sort of a tighter.
I know he just
scoring
means that in
scheme,
like for the
between
structure of a
exact
set,
triggering
but
and
it's still
triggering
funny to hear him
versus
say
heroic,
that.
So
Mhm.
that's kind of where we landed on Valiant as a heroic variant.
I did see a question about whether you can open commander cards in play boosters, asking for draft. I believe the answer for this set is no.
So
Looking at
why
the
could you do it in
breakdown,
Modern
and
Horizons if it was gonna be a new thing
after
going
the
forward, bro?
show,
Why?
you can head to dailymtg.com and the full collecting article will be up. But just looking at the breakdown of play boosters, it says
Or
that,
Modern Horizons 3, not
each
2.
play booster will contain 6 to 7 commons. Some of those play boosters will contain a card from the list, which is what we're talking about instead of a common. And then the list says cards found on the list in Bloomburrow are special guest cards. So that's the only slot where you can get sort of non-main set cards out of. Oh, actually, I say that. There's a wild card slot. Read the article. It's. I don't want to speak 100% to that because there might be.
There might be.
Yeah, we'll get that answer afterwards. Let's see. With the magic cards,
Should I ask
so
him
I think
again?
this is referring to the tokens having converted mana cost. Does this mean other cards like Roxanne's Meteorite token now has a 5 mana value? So this isn't a rule change, right? This is just how the offspring mechanic
Correct.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In order to make offspring as simple as possible.
I want to say it's
just being able to
really
say, hey,
weird
it's a copy of
that
the
we're giving
feature,
tokens
except
mana
it's one
cost now.
more.
I don't like
Mhm.
that. That's
Simplest
just
way you
confusing.
can convey that, but in doing so, the rules then say that it's also inheriting the mana cost. So we want to make sure that that mana cost was reflected on the token, but in a way that didn't trick you into thinking the token was its own
Okay.
its own individual magic card that you could put in your deck. So that's why it says down in the text box of the token, sort of in reminder text, that it has the mana cost.
Makes sense. Let's see. I'm seeing a number of good questions. Any arena questions? Head to the arena blog after this.
They're
will
probably not
be an
gonna answer it. I
arena
know they're not.
article going up that will
'Cause
cover
that's
at
what was
least
said,
some
but I
of
still would like to
these
know.
questions. I'm trying to get through this quickly because we are almost out of time.
Tokens don't work like copies. It's more so
I
just
am
like
seeing questions about whether Phyrexians missed Bloomburrow during the invasion. I don't think you guys know. That's not your area of
That
expertise.
might be a question for next week when the art.
Yeah,
I'll get to that in a
talk
moment.
about that a little bit later.
when they're finished here.
So here is going to be our final question because I know you can answer this one. How many Calamity Beasts are there? And then what sort of color identities do we get for the Calamity Beasts?
Ooh, that's tough. You're really testing my memory.
I
on
am.
a set,
How
set that
many I think you
finalized.
can do?
So how many total Calamity Beasts are there? I want to say there's around 10 total.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, between like 8 and 10-ish.
I was hoping
That's
like
my
20.
example. And sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Color identities.
Color identities. So we do have a cycle of mythic monocolor Calamity Beasts,
Mhm.
and then there's sort of just a smattering of them in different color combinations at rare,
Okay.
including the one multicolor one that we saw earlier. Yeah.
The one
so,
that turns
so
everything
they're
into
they're
food,
not
yeah.
hard cycled in a way, which is part of why it's a little bit tough to tell you exactly how many are in the set off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's basically the cycle of 5 mythics plus a smattering of rare ones.
Okay.
Great. Well, that is all the time we have. That's our hour, but Bloomburrow is going to march on. Previews are going to continue throughout the internet. Today, tomorrow, into next week, we are going to be back on
Who
Weekly
is-
FD next
oh.
week. And again, we're going to be talking art. We are
Go away, phone.
specifically going to be looking at special guest cards and the Courageous Critters to talk about concepting those and doing a lot of fun stuff.
Dude,
with
I really
that
want
art.
like
So,
every
head to dailymtg.com after this for all of the
every
details
Sans
on
red
all of the things,
critter planeswalker. So I can put him in a
including
Traxa.
list of where to
'Cause it's
find
funny.
the previews on what days and what websites or social media accounts or wherever it may be. Until then, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Oliver, and we will see you next week.
All right. So, I actually do want to go back through the stream a second time and just kind of like go over each card and pause it. That way, I'm not in this like position where it's like, I don't know. Like, this is my first time doing this kind of stream where I like react to previews. I think next time I do this, I'm probably gonna be pausing it as the stream goes. That way, I can actually get my thoughts out because I didn't want to talk over Blake and Ian and them, but I also didn't want to like fall behind in the stream because I thought people wouldn't like it if I was lagging behind the rest of the people. But I probably am next time I react to one of these streams, gonna just pause it so that way I can get all my thoughts out and in a timely manner. And I'm not feeling like rushed and like just pressured to keep going or maybe not talk sometimes. Yeah, about that thing of the I can rewatch a stream, right? I'm not being stupid here. Hold on. I can do that, right? Please tell me I can. It's not just gone now, is it? If they have VODs turned off, bro, I swear to God. Oh no. Oh no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh no, it's right here. Okay. I want to
Which are gonna
go
be those
to
adorable tokens on
the part about the tokens being like having mana cost. If I can find it again, I might not be able to be honest.
I'm really happy with it. We're going to see more cool art coming up with, we're going to talk about
Pause it, bro. Thank you. No, wrong one. Not here. No. I gotta find it again. Oh, no. Here we go. All right, cool. Okay, so the tokens have mana costs now. I really gotta find a way to like, I don't know, but tokens have mana costs now. But it's not all tokens. It's not all tokens. It's just these. I really don't like that. Like they changed enters battlefield to enters for the sake of simplicity. But now, like for some reason, Tender Wild Guide has a mana cost that the token does. And he's, I think it was Ian. He said like the reason for that was to make sure that it is an exact clone minus the power and toughness change. I get that, but then why is it that the Goyf tokens that Diza makes have mana costs too? Why is that? There's another card in MH3. I think it's Ral in the Implicit Maze, where the third chapter makes a Spellgorger weird from War to Spark. It has a mana cost for some reason. That's really weird. Like if we're changing the formatting of cards for text reasons, why are we proceeding to then not proceeding to make tokens like weird and complicated? Where it's like, oh, some tokens have mana costs, but some don't. Like, I'm pretty sure there's like one instance at least out there of like a card making a token that is just a card that actually exists, but with it's a token, so it has a mana cost. I can't think of it right now, but I'm pretty sure there's one out there. That's a little confusing. I don't know. This is a fun stream. I enjoy doing that. I will definitely do that again. I kind of want to do like spoiler showcase videos. I kind of don't, because like there's so many channels that cover spoilers now. It's like do I really want to? Do I really want to just be in that same circus ring? I don't think so. Not derogatory. I didn't mean circus like an insult, but just saying. I could do spoiler videos, but I also just don't think I'd be able to even keep up with them. Like I don't think I'd be able to do spoiler showcase videos and do all like my tier list stuff I do in the background and other ideas I got brewed in my head. But yeah, I will definitely do these reaction streams again. Again, I'll probably be pausing it as they go. That way I get all my thoughts out next time and actually be streamlined and not have this feeling of like, ooh, I gotta get out. I can't talk over them. Because this stream would actually be 2 hours then if I did that. Rules don't always apply, or don't always apply really weird. I agree. The whole token thing is just strange. But yeah, this was a great stream. I enjoyed that. Arena is still dead for me. Like I sent my support ticket a month ago, and my account still is not fixed. I know for a fact it's not anything on my end now because I've done literally everything on their site to troubleshoot, and nothing has fixed it. Nothing has fixed it. So a month has gone by, and like they've told me we'll work on it, but then they haven't really actually like given me any info on what they're doing. I made a new account on Arena just to see if that one worked fine, and it did. So I have this account now with all these cards on it that like I just can't play. And I'm messaging them like, hey, I stream this game, by the way, like 6 days a week. I would love to get back to it. Can I please get some kind of like closure or info on what you all are doing? And it's been like over a week, and they just have not responded to me at all. I've gotten literally no feedback at all from the support team for over a week. So like Arena streams might be dead? I don't know. I mean, I could just start over, but like I can't. I don't want to put time into a new account just to have it get like broken again. So I don't know. They might just figure out the token trap after a sec, kind of do it battles. Well, okay, so that's not. I don't think it's fair because like sets get made like 4 years in advance. Like when Martian Machine got released, Bloomburrow was already probably like almost done. Like it takes them a really long time to actually give us give us new versions of experimental cards. So like, I agree. I do want more battles, but like right now, we're probably not gonna get any for like another year because they just develop so far in advance nowadays for sets. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm thinking about doing like a Chandelar stream pretty soon here. Like we're almost at 1K. I might do like a 12-hour Chandelar stream. I'll try to beat that game all in one stream. If you don't know what Chandelar is, you'll figure it out soon. I might do like some kind of test stream to make sure everything works fine and all that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Go watch our Assassin's Creed Tears video. It's out. Go watch it. It's great. It's awesome. It's wonderful. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next time.